Many of us do have our own lists, and only a few belong to the legitimate group of Christians according, maybe, to our judgments. But our personal judgments, preferences, likings or dislikings have nothing to do with how this country should operate. We have all heard by now that the Pentagon, under the supervision of its Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, has reduced their official list of religious groups, churches, denominations, faiths, from over 200 to only 31. I mean, there is no problem if a government, an institution of a government, has its own list of denominations and religious groups, if it means that it helps them to serve those who are there under the umbrella of their leadership directly, to serve them better. For example, if we are talking right now about Pentagon, if we are talking about the military, to chaplaincy, how to actually serve the community of faith better. But to come forward with something that looks like an official list of recognized, acknowledged religious groups and those that are not, that's something else. That's something else. That's something that should not be encouraged, because if we do, this is not going to be the first attempt at actually remodeling, reclassifying, re-editing the list of religions and faith groups in this country. So I would like to share 4 points that I think are very important to remember at this time. And the point number 1 is that the constitution of this country is still the law of this country. Doesn't matter, however, there are people who are trying to manipulate the whole situation and tell us that actually the constitution means this or that. In my view, constitution is very clear, very plain, and until yesterday, figuratively speaking, until the age of Trump, it was easily understood what constitution means and how it should be applied. The First Amendment states very clearly, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Doesn't matter, as I said, how people try to manipulate that. The statement is very clear, and it is upon this statement that the principle of separation of church and state has been established as a guaranteeing principle that there is not going to be an abuse either on the part of the world of religion as far as the government goes, and also there is not going to be an abuse of government going towards the world of religion and faith in this country. There is going to be mutual coexistence, acknowledgement of each other, but not a manipulation of any of those two groups. This has been working fine, I would say. This has been working very well for many years, I could say, even from the time when this principle has been established, the principle of separation of church and state. And this has been a good model, an example to the rest of the world. For example, the country that I'm coming from, Croatia, when Croatia became an independent country, nationally recognized state, it moved forward with its own new constitution that would fit the needs of Croatia. And it was the model of the church and separation that exists in America that became the model at that time, of course, and still it is for Croatia. It's completely another thing whether people really understand what it means to have a church and state separation. That's another subject, but the principle is still there, and the Constitution of America is still the abiding law of this country. And that simply means this, that the Pentagon or any other governmental institution and the leaders who at this time serving, I hate to use this word serving because many of them are not serving really anything but themselves, but let's put it like this, the leaders who are this time placed in a position to serve this country should be abiding according to the constitution of this country. Nothing has changed in regard what is the actual law of this country. And the second point that I would like to emphasize today is this, that we should not be confusing our personal preferences. I might not like certain religious groups. I might not even like certain groups under the umbrella of what we call Christian faiths. I can create my own personal list and decide who is Christian there and who is not a Christian. And my friends, if we would be honest with each other and we would start creating those lists, we would understand that very soon almost there will be no Christians around because we would be excluding each other from that list on a basis of whatever we think this person or this group believes, and it is or it is not Christian. I mean, I have heard so many jokes here in this country in regard of how certain group of Christians are talking about another group of Christians. And if you follow the logic of these jokes, we would quickly come to a realization that many of us do have our own lists, and only a few belong to the legitimate group of Christians according maybe to our judgments. But our personal judgments, preferences, likings or dislikings have nothing to do with how this country should operate. Even those religious groups that I really cannot stand, maybe call them certain pagans, or definitely those who kind of are trying to follow certain dark forces. I might not appreciate them at all. But if we want to be honest, if I'm representing this government, I have no right to exclude them from this basket of legitimately recognized and acknowledged groups that belong to the community of faith and religion of this country. I cannot do this. The moment I do it, I'm pursuing religious discrimination. So whatever the current leaders of this country might think, and we know pretty clearly where the things are going and what is their agenda. No one is giving them right to place a Christian nationalism as the final and ultimate standard where we are all heading, and now creating just an in-between space where at this moment, okay, we are going to reduce the number of Christian groups to 21. We will categorize them just kind of as long as they're Christian before we move to the next step. No one is giving us that right. Certainly the constitution of this country is not allowing us to do this. So remember, friends, our personal preferences are not representing an objective category that this government should be pursuing, that still, according to the Constitution, respects dearly the separation of church and state, and should keep on doing that for the benefit of all the people of this country. And maybe one more point at this moment to share with you, and this is that whatever Pentagon did a few days ago, and however it might look innocent at this moment, actually, if we just ignore it, will lead to new levels of discrimination. Will, maybe not Pentagon, but maybe some other institution of the government, lead to go a step further to see, could we restrict that list even more? Could we bring it ever closer to the standards of, let's call it, to Christian nationalists and their perception? Let us not be naive about this, because the people who are surrounding the president at this time, there might not be many, but they are predominantly representing those brands of Christianity, let's call it like this, that actually were very fringe up to yesterday. And no one would even include them to be really Christians. And now they're trying to set standards for everyone else what really Christianity means and what it doesn't mean. Those people who are craving dominion, those people who are dreaming of the 7 mountains of control when it comes to their society, those people who want Christians to rule this society, and when they say Christians, they don't mean really the mainstream Protestant Christianity. They don't mean the mainstream of anything that is being called Christianity. Don't mean really, let me dare say, what represents a historic Christianity. They mean their kind of Christianity that is grounded on their personal private dreams and visions and fancy talks and predictions, and basically trying to put this country under their dominion. How much the president of this country understands this? I personally think he doesn't really much. But he does understand one thing, that he needs them, and they understand especially that they need him, and that's the game that is going on. So if this first attempt of manipulation with what is Christian and what is not Christian in this country, what is a legitimate religion in this country and what is not, if we ignore it, someone else is going to go and do another level of working in bringing this country, or the standards of what is acceptable in this country when it comes to what should be worshipped, what we should not, who represents truly a Christian faith, who really represents the other religions that we will tolerate. This is going to be pruned and trimmed ever more, as far as we'll let them do it. And their vision is very clear. They want a kind of Christianity that is based on their dreams and visions and fanciful thinkings, that is aggressive and violent, that doesn't tolerate freedom, and which thirsts for power and control and dominion. And my friends, if we let this happen, we're just going to have our own version of Taliban ruling this country. The only thing is that it's going to be supposedly of a Christian kind. So let's think about this, reflect on what I've shared with you, and don't be naive about those kind of things. Many are.